Now that we've looked at the surface area and volume of rectangular prisms, we're going to use similar formulas to find the surface area and volume of cylinders. So one thing we want to look at, if we look at a cylinder, the parts of a cylinder, basically you have the top and the bottom, or two bases which are round, so we have circles. And then the rest of the cylinder is pretty much one rectangle that's wrapped around into a circular shape. So you see these are all straight edges that are curved around the circle of the top and bottom of our cylinder. So now we're going to look at the formula. When we find the surface area, first of all, surface area, just as with other figures, other three-dimensional figures, the surface area is the part that covers the outside. If we were to cover the top, the bottom, and all the way around the sides, that would be the surface area. The volume is what fits inside the figure. So that would be in cubic units, whereas the surface area is in square units because it's how many flat square units could fit all the way on every surface of the three-dimensional figure. So now we have our formula. We have, for surface area of a circle, we have 2 times pi times radius times height plus 2 times pi times radius squared. And so what we're going to do is just same as what we've been doing with other formulas. We're going to write the formula first, and then we're going to plug in our numbers. So you want to be sure when you look at either something that you measure that's an actual object, or when you look at a picture or have dimensions, we want to label our variables. So we want to label the radius, which in this case is 3, but if they had given us the diameter, we'd have to find the radius. So here we have the radius is the 3 centimeters, and then our 5 centimeter marking here is the height. So height is 5 centimeters. So now we know when we see the R or the H in the formula, we plug in those numbers. Okay, so surface area equals 2 times pi, 3.14, times the radius, which is 3, times the height, which is 5. So we're just plugging them in right now. We're not actually calculating anything. And then we're going to bring down our plus sign and our 2. 2 times pi, which is 3.14, times the radius squared. So the radius is 3, and then 3 squared. The next thing we need to worry about as far as order of operations goes is that our exponent comes before any multiplication, and then multiplication comes before addition. So we're going to go ahead and use our exponents. So 3 squared is 9. 2 times 3.14 times 9. And then over here, 2 times 3.14 times 3 times 5. I'm writing those together. Okay, and then 2 times 3.14 is 6.28 times, I'm going to go ahead and multiply those two numbers together, which is 15. You could put this into a calculator. I just don't happen to have my calculator in front of me right now. So 6.28 times 9. Okay, and then you would take your calculator and you could go ahead and multiply those numbers. I'm going to just do it by hand. 6.28 times 15. And 10, 14, 31. And I have 2 decimal places, so I need 2 decimal places in my answer. So I have 94.2. I can just drop off that last 0. And then 6.28 times 9. 72, 18 plus 7 is 25. 9 times 6, 54, plus 2 is 56. 2 decimal places in my answer. So I am going to add 56.52. And my last step, of course, is to just add the two numbers together. So I'm going to go ahead and add the 94.2 right here. And give it in a 0 again. 2, 7, bring down my decimal point. 15. Okay, so the surface area of this cylinder is 150.72. I did not give any units. Oh, yes, I did. I gave you centimeters. So we're going to use centimeters squared because it's surface area. So it's still two-dimensional. We're measuring area. That's always in square centimeters. So my answer is 150.72 centimeters squared. Now I'm going to find the volume of the same cylinder that I worked with surface area. If we look at the dimensions again, we have a radius of 3 and a height of 5. So our formula for volume is pi r squared times the height. So all I'm going to do is go ahead and plug in my number, substitute the variable, 3.14 times the radius, which is 3, squared, times the height, which is 5. And then my order of operations says I have to do exponents first. So I'm going to do 3.14 times 3 squared, which is 9. And then times 5. And then I'm going to go ahead and multiply all my numbers together. So in this case, it's going to be easier to multiply 9 times 5 first and get 45 times 3.14. And again, without my calculator, I'm just going to grab a piece of scratch paper. 3.14 times 45. You could do this with a calculator as well. 20, 5, 6, 7, 5 times 3 is 15. And then 4 times 4 is 16. That's 1. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. 4 times 3 is 12. And then I add my numbers together. 11, 4, 1. I'm sure that I will get comments on my video comments if I make a mistake, so check my work. I have 2 decimal places in my problem, so I'm going to put 2 decimal places in my answer. I can drop off the last 0. So I have 141.3, which is going to be my volume, 141.3, and volume is in cubic units. So these were centimeters, and we're going to make that centimeters cubed. So the volume is 141.3 cubic centimeters. That's how many cubic centimeters would fit inside a cylinder that has those dimensions.